Good morning. It is 49 minutes after 3 or 9. 9 o'clock, I promise. It's not 3 in the afternoon. Although, man, wouldn't it be nice if it was 3 in the afternoon? Time to go home almost. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to SnowTALK. I am wave meteorologist Brian Good on this Thursday to join you guys. And yeah, we do have, of course, that batch of snow this morning that is starting to wind down, but we'll go through where we stand with that as it scoots off to the east. And what it did do is it passed across wave country. What's next, which is some positive news for a couple of days before we get into what is getting a lot of attention, of course, social media usually does, Sunday night into Monday. And there's a lot of issues with that setup, but it is our only chance for a while of getting wintry weather back in our area. Then after that, going to take good old SnowTALK here behind me and let it take a break, send it down to Florida for a bit, let it get some let it get some sun, hang on to its flurry though, just in case. And then we will need it back before the season's over. So a little bit longer of a reset between the seasons, which makes it easier on me. When it sticks to one of them for a few days, a lot easier to do these blocks. When it's back and forth in the same day, well, then that's a problem. All right, you guys can comment, of course, on social media side. A lot of you on here already. Good morning to Laura. How you doing, Laura? Carrollton, 1 to 2 inches. Yes, about 1 to 2 inches there in Carrollton. And let's see, Judy, good morning to you. Good morning, Sean, from Elk Creek there. The snow was sketchy from right around Baghdad itself there. Almost on the side of the road. I think I can't read your entire comment. I'm sorry. It's just the font's too small. I'm trying to look at different screens to see if I see a bigger font, but even then it's not quite clear what you had typed. So I apologize if I messed you up, Sean. It's not you, it's me. Hello to Adam. Welcome back there, Adam. Snow and ice chances. Travis is ready to go. Mid-March into mid-April. Travis, appreciate that. We'll look at some of the longer-term stuff. I'm going to go too in the weeds today. I'm going to do a lot more of that probably next week because I'm not here tomorrow, just FYI. But you do likely, if he has time, you'll have Carson tomorrow that will do a blog update. But I probably will not be able to do that for you all. Okay, so I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. Let's get into the lovely snowboard and let's just see where we stand on that. And it's getting a little lonesome, starting to shrink down a bit, right? Late Sunday night into Monday. It's either going to be a mix in the area and all the snow will be way north, or we will have some areas to go all snow into our viewing area. Once again, the more north you are, you're better zone for that. So that automatically puts Indiana in the game. And for Kentucky, it puts 71 corridor in the game as well. So something to watch. I'll go through the latest thinking on that. I can assure you, though, that as I've been stressing so many times in these systems, it's not going to look very clear yet what it's going to be until you get right up on it. And in some points, it's a disappointment, and sometimes it can be exciting because you never know. You get some surprises that can sneak in on these kind of setups this time of the year. Even the one this morning some of the data last night toward the afternoon and the early evening was removing any chance of a snowflake for this morning's event. Now, we didn't jump on that because it seemed a little odd that suddenly the model would lose it after we know we have moisture to work with here. So it was a little odd, but you got to be sneaky those model runs sometimes. So you model watchers out there, don't go run to run and stress out. You got to trend them and look at them, see if it makes sense what it's saying or if it's just out to left field. Even if it's showing what you want it to do and you were hoping for, if it meteorologically doesn't make sense, throw it out. It'll do you a lot more. You'll have less stress if you do it that way, trust me. Okay, so anyway, so this one is on the table, and I think it needs to be on the table. So we'll circle back. This is into Bardstown. If you look carefully, most of this is rain, but at times you may see it from the camera lens. You may get a little bit of those bigger flakes, little clumps of flakes. It's not really one flake, it's 2 or 3 because the snow is so wet. They're very sticky, so they stick together as they fall down and become friends and kind of like parachuting down together, doing all kinds of neat tricks, right? So the clumps is what you'll see falling mixed in with the rain, not 1 or 2 snowflakes. So it's a bit, it's fun, but boy, when they hit the windshield, they just splat right on your windshield. You're like, what was that? I'm like, how was it? That was a whole village of snowflakes that jumped on the windshield there. So, but they can be pretty when they're all mixed in at times and falling heavy. But it's conglomerates today of flakes flying through. And there's not much left, by the way, here. Let me show the temperatures first off, because this is important too. We're at 36 in Louisville, roughly 36 or lower. You can support getting a mix or snow involved. And we are at that level here in Louisville. You're certainly down to that level, down to the freezing mark into areas of Shelby County, same at times in Indiana as well. Meanwhile, 40, upper 30s, lower 40s, south and west of there. Ooh, I drew a little ghost face. Let me see if I can draw this right. Let's see. Boo. Anyways, yeah, I need to go home and start drawing characters on a weather map. They mentioned this to me in therapy. It was going to happen one day, so it's happening. All right, so anyway, if you are at 32, don't panic. That means ice. No. Ground's warm. I would not worry about even a bridge and overpass unless you got to like 30 or 29. And I don't see those kind of values right now. We're all hovering in lower 30s. It allows the snow to fall. It allows the snow to stick, especially in grassy areas, and accumulate. And then it lingers for a bit, but it'll be melting away shortly after it stops. It's another distant memory, like it never happened. So take pictures of it so people believe you. Because a lot of my friends never believe me when I tell them it snows. Like, no, it didn't. I'm like, it didn't. No, it didn't. I'm like, gotta take more proof. So anyway, so if you weather watchers out there know what I'm talking about, make sure to always get the photos. Hello, Dave and Jean. Hello, Sean again. TJ. TJ's on here. Sweet summer day here. Is that what you want, TJ, or is that what you're experiencing? Where are you at, TJ? Because we're all going to be jealous. Okay, so let me go through. Let's see. Do we do radar first? Yes, do radar first. This is showing the satellite and the rain combination. Now, where you see the yellows on here, this is bright banding. That indicates the flakes, the larger flakes, are melting, and it creates heavy rains, what looks like on the radar beam over at Fort Knox. So you get a lot of bright colors of yellows and oranges. Again, it doesn't necessarily mean heavy rain here. It just means that you are on the borderline of getting snow to make it to the ground, because it's melting at the radar level. It indicates this flake is falling apart, but it's not a flat terrain here in this area of Kentucky, obviously. So in some areas, some of them are making it down, especially to the east. The only spot now I think you're going to see that right there. Let's see, just north and east of Bardstown. I would say close to portions of northern Washington County, Kentucky, heading toward Anderson County. That's a spot. If there's anything left, it's going to be there, but it's really winding down quickly. But the modeling, some of the modeling, not all of them, if we were to put the model room together, they became a little friendly and got the same idea. But still, it was, the idea played out well of it being into the Southeast Indiana 71 corridor of the spot to have. All right, some of your reports I got in. See, there's first, these are MPEAM reports from you all that you sent in. And some of these haven't fallen off yet from this morning, but it does show, that's what we have them on here, lingering a bit. As you can see, were all the reports that did get pushed out this morning. So we had several across the knobs, several in Jefferson County, Shelby County, into Henry, as well as Trimble, Carroll. Let's see, where else we Clark, even into Scott County, all the way into Jennings. The most popular reports we got were in that area, a little more sporadic there around the Fort Knox beam, but most of them were right there in that little bright banding that passed right over the city of Louisville, and now it's easing to the south and east. Festive flakes, not enough to cause any travel worries. One of the higher totals I saw was about 2 inches. That was north and east of Louisville, along around Carroll, and then as you get into Jennings County, I had some reports there of closer to about 2 to as much as I had a 4-inch report somewhere. I can't remember where it was that popped in. That may be a little high. The average is about 1 to 2 that I've seen out of this, but very pretty scene. Look at that, because it's a wet snow, so it sticks to everything out the window, which is always so pretty. Your patio furniture, the trees, the sides of the patio furniture, sides of the trees. If you're outside in it, so it's kind of cool when you have these wet snows, but they just don't last long. They're in and they're out of here and it's over. So that's what we're facing. So some of your photos, again, Robert Bruce sent that in, and I think I have another one. Let's see. Where's this one at? Sent in from Stacy. Stacy, I don't know if I got your location. I don't think I did, but a very pretty scene. Looks like some of the cows are eating there. Yeah, pretty snow, wasn't it, this morning, though? Hope you enjoyed it. All right, so what's next? Well, that's out of here. We're going to go into full sun this afternoon, so get ready for a weather whiplash day. The afternoon will be like, if people slept in this morning, they're not going to believe you at all that I'm discussing anything on snow this morning, because it will not look and feel like it. Blue sky, temperatures in the mid-50s, not a bad setup for the afternoon. I will be watching for later tonight. There is a narrow window to get some fog that may form if the ground remains wet tonight, if the sun doesn't really dry it all up this afternoon, but it may, and we're betting on right now that it will. And as long as the sun dries up that wetter ground from the light snow showers and even light rain in general, just the wet ground, if it stays damp and skies try to clear later on, we may get some fog by early on your Friday. Otherwise, not a huge ordeal. We're working on that, but we need to know how the afternoon's going to trend. Just a few hours of sun will take care of that, but it's going to happen here soon for it to make a bigger difference. You may even see it here in Futurecast, in fact. Let's move it along. Where are we at? 5:30 this afternoon. Temperatures in the mid-50s. Looking nice, looking nice. A little bit of a boundary that tries to sneak in our north counties. A few high clouds there. This is nothing major. Into Indiana. And then we get into Friday afternoon. Temperatures reach into the 60s. I think we will overachieve tomorrow. There is a chance we may not have a cloud in the sky for Friday at all. I mean, sunshine, not much of a wind at all. A light breeze maybe, but nothing more than that. And temperatures overachieving into the low to maybe mid-60s. Sounds like you're going to hear a lot of people pulling up to you at the red light, blasting their music with the windows down and the convertibles. What am I trying to say? The sunroof rolled back. Here we go. I was trying to think of the terminology. Haven't had to say that in a while. Anyway, certainly it's one of those vibes. It's being a Friday. Everyone's going to be in a good mood. So that also means the parks will be a little busy this afternoon, and a lot of the restaurants probably will be busy. Everyone's going to want to venture out and just get out of the house. Everyone's kind of cooped up. This afternoon's weather, Friday's weather will certainly get you into that vibe for your Friday. Great way to start off on the weekend, right? We get into Saturday, and you know what? Saturday will be similar. The only issue right now that I'm seeing with Saturday is this Arctic front that is going to be dropping down is key on what happens with this next snow potential. It arrives here Saturday night. Now, it won't have a lot of moisture with it, but if we didn't have this front involved, then the setup for Sunday night and Monday would be all rain. And we wouldn't be discussing any type of wintry weather. But it's because this front does come into play Saturday night that is what is changing the game plan up a little. So if you're a snow lover, you want this front to move in. If you love warm weather, you don't want it to move in too fast because it will start to influence our temperatures and cloud conditions by Saturday afternoon. So if you want to enjoy lots of sunshine on Saturday, the first 6 hours of the day, you should be good. Plan in that window if you can of Saturday. Otherwise, you wait too long and clouds are going to increase and temperatures will start to slowly drop, especially in Indiana first, and then dropping down into Kentucky. It will actually get colder, a little bit of light rain as we head into Saturday night and early on Sunday. But again, there's the Euro showing that piece zipping on by right there. But again, that drop, you see the rain snow line has now parked itself into southern areas of Indiana and near Cincinnati. But that is a crucial part. If we didn't have that, that rain snow line would be way, way more north. But here we go. The next little wave, you see the little dip right there back to the west. It's now starting to approach, and it does so Sunday afternoon and night. So Sunday daytime, I don't see much happening, just kind of a cloudy and chilly scenario. We get into Sunday night and Monday, and here it goes. Moves right in, because this is a strong Arctic high on the northeast side here into eastern Canada, heading toward Nova Scotia. It's transient, so it's not going to stay, and it's not blocking the system at all. It's just the system is, because warmer air the way it is moving so fast, it is going to catch up to the Arctic high before it has a chance to leave town. Sneak attack. We're being flanked right now by storm systems. So anyway, the large high moves off, and it does so. We get snow. Now, as we always talked about with cold layers, to get all snow, your cold layer is deep. When it becomes a little bit more of a mix issue, the cold layer becomes shallow and the warmer air gets involved. In this scenario, it will likely be 3 different types that we may face. In the areas that are all snow, all cold, the cold layer is thick, top and down, it will be all snow. And that's where most of that blue is indicated. And that's certainly a good spot for Indianapolis, Cincinnati, I'll throw in there, Dayton, Ohio, Columbus, maybe even down toward Columbus, Indiana, right in there. But just south of that area, it changes quickly, because now we begin to step down a bit on the layers of cold. There's still a thin layer that's around, that's thick enough to allow for snowflakes to melt, refreeze again as a raindrop. So a frozen raindrop, that's not the same as hail. It's a frozen raindrop. It has one pass down. Hail has a journey lingering in a cloud during thunderstorms. Hail, a snowflake, when it falls and melts, becomes an ice pellet again. That is sleet. It's a one journey, one ticket journey down to the ground. That's where we get sleet. Sleet could certainly fall. But in some layers on the southern edge of that even, and that may be part of wave country too, that we get to that little bit of that pink layer into southern Indiana and northern Kentucky. The problem there is that the only part of the ground that is cold is right at near where our feet are, that have dropped to or just below 32. Otherwise, the warm flow coming in from the southwest has already flew overhead. It's now the dominant layer type is the warm layer. So in that case, rain falls. But if you're at 32 and certainly below it, anything the rain touches after it falls, anything it touches can create a glaze or stick to and create ice. Don't think it's going to be a major issue on the icing part, just because we don't have a very, very cold ground. So I think it's going to be more elevated icing at best. You know, the rails again, your car, the bushes outside in your yard, maybe a tree or two in the yard, maybe. It just depends on how thick that cold layer is. They tend to hold very close to the ground. So we'll work on that this weekend to see if that's even an issue. And then south of that, it's just rain. So within our viewing area, our 34 counties that we serve, we're going to have to go through all that and decipher, okay, who's going to get all rain? All right, who's going to have this much of a cold layer? Let's put ice over here. Who could be here for more of a sleet scenario? Let's draw a sleet in here. And then, okay, we're pretty confident that these folks are going to stay all cold and all layers. So we'll just put that as blanket snow in the area. And that's what we'll have to do from one end of wave country to the other. We're not ready to do that yet, given how far out this still is. Once it gets closer, we'll be able to do that. We need to find our data to kind of help us guide us on where to draw the lines on that. So all I can tell you is that all the types are on the table, but certainly the more north you travel, the more into the wintry side of this you will get. The more south, the more out of it you will be. Will it be a crippling snowstorm or ice event? No. This has a very short residency time here. It moves in and it moves out. It's all about timing, being Sunday night into Monday when a lot of people are heading out to school and work. So yeah, just needs to be watched. Some of the data has been trying to shift this more south, which that shifts the different layered challenges I just explained to you. It shifts those more south too. Although it makes it easier on us because that means more of you would be in the all cold snow layer. It's easy to forecast. But as long as it lingers in our area and we've got all the layers of the cake in our view in section here, then that's a problem. That's where we get really, really stressed out. But hey, it's only Thursday, so needs more time in the oven. But it's been persistent, right? Been persistent just about every day. for about a few days now. Anyway, it's been showing the signal, and I don't think it's really getting stronger with the signal. It's just being persistent. So that's the key. As long as it keeps showing up, then it's worth talking about. If it starts to fade away or we see something go off track, then our confidence goes lower. Could this be an alert day setup? If someone's going to ask it, I know you will. It's possible, mainly for the morning commute on Monday. I'm not going to rule it out. If our midday data that rolls in is really hitting us pretty hard, it's possible an alert day may get issued for, especially our northern sections, for Sunday night into Monday. Okay, so, and then that's it. Snow lovers, not trying to break your heart, but it moves on out of here, and bye-bye. We're done for SnowTALK for a good solid week, if not longer. Now we got to pay attention to the fire hose setup, is what I call that, where you're going to get bands of rain left over from this system here that moves out with the snow. This boundary that'll be kind of wavering back and forth, almost like an uncontrolled sprinkler you have. You know, the sprinkler has the tentacles out in the yard the kids run through. It's kind of that same idea. The tentacles of very intense moisture will kind of just fly all over the place. Sometimes we'll get hit by them, sometimes we won't. But we got to watch, because that's anywhere that gets hit by one of the tentacles of the sprinkler system is going to get quite a bit of rain. So that part is going to be our next challenge, as well as any thunderstorm potential. Right now, I don't see any large, strong signals on that, but it is going to be warm. It is going to be quite warm. And at times we may get some Goldilocks days and squeeze in where the fire hose is paying attention somewhere else and leaves us alone, and we can enjoy 70s with sunshine. I think 1 or 2 days may get squeezed into that. So we'll let you know when to expect those so you can plan accordingly. The fronts themselves are going to have a tough time getting through here. And I'll show you a different map in a second, but it's going to be really tough to get a lot of the thunderstorms on the severe side in our area, because these systems are not really tracking through the region. They're just teasing us. They're getting just close enough to us to keep inducing rain and thunderstorms, and they leave, and then another one comes along. But boy, this kind of a pattern, you could really get some high rain totals. Okay, quick update on the snow matrix just to cover that situation. Let me bring that up. There we go. That is the Euro ensembles. All right, here's the one from this morning. Okay, they have us fair, right? Most of them, these are a ½ inch to an inch, mainly a ½ inch. That's fair. I think we got that. Euro did right for the area. Some of you, again, a little higher, a little lower, but nothing crazy. As far as Sunday night, Monday, okay, well, again, we are not in the full track of the snow part. We are on the edge of it, but even with Louisville being on the edge of this ordeal Sunday night and Monday, it's still fairly filled in and does allow for at least some accumulations. Nothing too crazy, but it's on the table. I didn't pull this for Indy. Maybe I need to do that sometime and show you all what the differences will look like in a different city. But I'm sure there's much more filled in, a lot more brighter on colors. But then we get a nice little gap indicating the warm spell that's on the way. Now, when it comes to the severe weather side, I hope you can see this. Looking at let's see, the analogs are on the left column. CSU, AI is in the middle, and this is what the Storm Prediction Center has actually issued on the last column. They have not issued anything, by the way, so it's easy. So just looking primarily at the analogs, basically taking historical factor into play. You know, has this happened before? If so, where's the best spot then in a similar scenario that's played out before? What would be the zone to watch? And for Friday, it paints it more into the mid-Mississippi Valley, not in our area. CSU hints at it as we head into later Thursday to our west, and then brings it over us as a very low-end severe risk. As we head into Thursday, I think this will continue to expand, but I think overall you're going to see this be a Texas to Missouri to Illinois to maybe West Kentucky signal. It may be in that zone many, many times since we get closer. You're going to see that probably on every single chart on all of these. You're going to have that same look over and over and over again, the way it's trending. Okay. And then the concern too is the repeating factor is going to be the heavy rain. The Weather Prediction Center has already put us into a moderate or medium risk for a excessive rain setup. This usually can lead to flooding, of course. It is focused more west of 65 than east. Makes sense. As you're about to see, let me show you why we think that. And we're bringing up this chart. This is the overall synopsis of what we're looking at. And as I mentioned yesterday, I tried to hand draw it, but it's a series of low pressures. They're going to be coming off the Rockies, taking the same track over and over and over. Now, can they get a little east at times? Yes. How does that happen? Well, when you get a low pressure that moves in out of Texas. It gets strong. It grazes our area, and then actually, some cases retrogrades, goes back into central Canada. But we still have the cold front that it is attached to. That will still keep marching east into the Ohio River Valley, but it'll really slow down and then just gradually weaken. That cuts down on your severe potential because we've lost the forcing aspect. You don't have a lot of strong forcing when you don't have a low pressure nearby with that front. It's just a boundary, kind of stretch out like cotton candy. And it can still drift east and then get stuck. But the problem with that is it leads to heavy rain. One or two of these lows I can't roll out that may graze or a little closer to us at times. And if so, yeah, then that severe risk would be here. Otherwise, I think that where we have these severe risk painted into the Mississippi Valley looks fair. And then the heavy rain threat will be along that and even a bit east because you have to allow for them to slowly drift east. The boundaries do of clusters of showers and storms. And that's what we could see the repeating nature of heavy rain and flooding. Hope that makes sense. If not, let me know. Or forever hold your peace. Let me get into the 10-day and get to some of your questions. Once we get past this, by the way, we get into the colder setup, the way it's trending out for late March into April. No time to talk about that today. That's still there. But we will come back around to it, I promise. So here we go. 50s today, 60s for tomorrow and Saturday. Saturday will be highly dependent on when the clouds roll in with the precursor front that moves in Saturday night. That's just the stage to get us colder in advance of Sunday night. Again, that Saturday night wave is crucial on that. But either way, the next couple of days, and even really this afternoon, they're not going to be bad at all. We get into the week, early week. There's that snow setup early Sunday night, Monday. And then we get into the fire hose setup briefly Tuesday. That's just rounds of rain we're watching. And then you have to just watch that and see where they all set up. It's not going to storm the entire time, all the end of next week toward next weekend. But at times there will be heavy rain to watch. And there will be a few thunderstorms to watch. But I can tell you it will be warm. And I don't think these numbers are warm enough. I think we will be warm enough to where I think 80-degree days are coming out of this kind of a setup. Just don't know when to place them, or better yet, where to place them in a 10-day, because we got to figure out if it's going to be stormy that day or not. But this pattern absolutely has overachievement written all over it for some really warm stuff coming our way. Okay, is everyone good on that? Yeah. Thumbs up. Yeah, I'll do a thumbs up. I think okay on there, right? To your emojis. Do a thumbs up if you're good. Thumbs down if you're not. And I'll call you out if I see a thumbs down. Not to make fun of you. I just want to know why, if you're okay. Severe weather concerns, there will be some, but I can't get any specifics right now. It's too early. Just obviously, if we've got the warmth and the moisture and we have fronts moving in, okay, we're getting several of the ingredients that are at play, but timing is going to be too hard. Way too hard. But if you love warm weather and you want to put the shorts on and you want to feel like spring's around the corner, that's fine, because I warn you guys, you can do that, but winter will come back and fight back later this month, or later in March. So enjoy it, but don't get too cozy. Don't get too cozy. A lot of thumbs up. Okay. Yeah, it's a great forecast. See, we try to make everyone happy, and this 10-day tries to the best it can, right? Between more of a wintry threat, you've got some mild days, not overly warm, mild and sunny, so you can still wear a jacket. Some people like that kind of weather, very comfy. Some like just a rainy day with no weather drama at all, but not flooding, nothing, just a rainy day to get a good nap in and relax and watch some TV. Yep, there you go. You got those days in there. And there's some days you want to be out in the shorts and walk the dog around the neighborhood, play some disc golf that some of you where's Dan at? Want to play. There's some of you that want to deal with severe weather. You love the excitement of severe weather and thunderstorms and tracking it. You'll have those days likely thrown into this. So we've basically got it all here mixed into a 10-day. Just got to pay attention, because this is all going to be shifting a bit, and the finer details will matter. So you can't take this and run with it and make your plans. Just stay close. Let's see. I apologize again because it's hard to read some of this stuff. Hey, Weather Geek, how you doing? Hey, David. The radar showed rain overhead this morning for 90 minutes. It was heavy, wet snow. Well, it depends on what radar you're looking at. Ours are turned on to be in a sensitive mode to indicate a melting rain layer, so it shows up in the bright yellow and red to tell us there are large flakes that are melting in that area, so you're going to get a burst of snow. But the MPing reports validate it. So those reports that a lot of you send in too validate what we're seeing on the radar. But we have our radar turned on a certain mode and intensity. Sometimes the app radars don't look the same as what we see on TV. I get all that. Just know that that was the risk we had. We had this in the forecast past several days about this burst of wet snow at that time this morning. So hopefully it didn't catch anyone off guard because it's been talked about a lot for such a minor thing. But at the same time, I think it, I can know it can be frustrating when you see the radar, not understanding the process. But that stuff takes too long on TV to explain, way too long. But we need to have it that way for us so that we know what's happening on the meteorological side, so we know what's coming down the pipe, if you will. About an inch. Where are you at there? Outside of LaGrange? 3 miles outside of LaGrange. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Very good to know. Very good to know. It was the Wave 3 app. Yeah. See, we don't have any control on the radar colors on that. That's standard. You probably notice the same on other station apps. They're basically the same company. So ours is a little different you see on TV versus that. But at least most of the time, unless you get in these real weird situations of bright banding and temperatures cooling down to allow snow, that gets a little weird. But that's where you got to have a little bit more of advanced radar to see what's happening. And that's where we come into play to try to help you out, right? Good. All right, everyone looks good. Bryce, good. The Sunday system slides south. It wouldn't really slide south. It would just be it'll look that way. If the colder profile is a little more overwhelming, it'll give the appearance of a shifting south when in reality, it's just the colder air is going to be more involved in the system. So it would make the wintry weather a little more south. But the whole system should stay on track where it is. It's just a matter of the colder profile. And the cold air arrives from the Saturday front, not the Sunday one, but the one that arrives Saturday night. That is the one that brings the cold air to town on its caboose and lays it here and says, here you go, have fun with it. And then the next system runs over that. And when it runs over it, we get tripped up, and that's where the system shows up for Sunday into Monday. So you can blame the Saturday cold front for causing the drama on that. But warm air around here can really do numbers as far as the surge north. So you want the system to be a little stronger to get higher rates if you want a bigger wet snow, but you want it to be too strong of a system or warm air will overwhelm it, and it will push the rain snow line appearance. It'll push it more north. And boy, we've seen that many times. I haven't seen that really happen yet with this one, but it's still early. As I always say, don't trust these until you get about 12, 24 hours out, sometimes shorter than that. You got to wait to the very last minute, and then it sneaks up in its true reality. Again, even yesterday afternoon, a lot of the data we rely on nearly disappeared the snow this morning. It just yanked it off the charts. Nothing was going to happen. And it's like, whoa. I mean, these are models that do really well usually. And they just overwhelmed the dry air idea, and there's like nothing's going to happen. And we saw the reality there. So you got to be very careful with short range data. So all we can do is just constantly do updates and explain to you what we're looking at and where we stand on it and trend it and yada, 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 yada. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling. Got to get out of here. You guys are awesome. Let's see. I will be back on, of course, coming up on midday at 11 a.m. But then after that, after I leave here this afternoon, I will not be back until Monday. Of course, right in the middle of all this on Monday. That should be fun. But I'll be here. The rest of the team will keep you updated. So look for those notifications when we go live. Take care, my friends. See you on the flip.